So anyways, at the end of the day, when you're about to explain the finale of how they twisted time and how we're putting it back into one twist, you have to look at these families that have diplomatic immunity worldwide. Now, there's two ways to look at this. One, it's cool that they've organized the world into a submissive pattern of domination and governing of their mental bodies. But the other way to look at it is we went from 3 trillion in debt to 34 trillion in debt in just 16 years. And so somehow from President Obama, we had Donald Trump, and then we had Joe Biden, right? Was there someone else in there after? But since President Obama, the debt has gone up 10 times. And that means every baby born in the United States is 100,000 or more in debt. And every old person about to die until they die is over 100,000 in debt. So when I talk about manipulations and use of technology, and actually animals previously used much more similar to cell phones for communication, much in the way people speak with their psychic ESP. There's different methods of having people believe in different things. The real matter of it is everybody has all the abilities to assume or learn anything they want. They have to learn it from God if they don't learn it from their parents or their friends who teach them when they're children, but then learn they're dominated within their children's, shall we say, magic sphere. And a lot of people build these magic sphere mountains all over the world. So America is guilty. And so 34 trillion in debt is the biggest problem, though. Because if it was a good thing, we wouldn't be 34 trillion in debt. This new organization of the planet using this crazy manipulation by the United States people and international agencies and worldwide governance. So it's cool that they organized it for us, and I appreciate that. And I think now it's just we have to tell them that the thing is, we're not paying you $34 trillion for fucking us all over, because we're still all getting shitty services in the United States and being lied to on every level pretty much about the international community and the poisons and the things that they're doing to us and our families here in our own country. So why do you think I'm a fucking lobbyist and go to Capitol Hill regularly and lived outside the White House and stayed outside trying to figure shit out, being homeless when I grew up in one of the most affluent suburbs in the world, and the first grand experiment of how to fucking mind fuck the entire community of Reston, Virginia, and then transfer it to communities all over the world once they figured out every franchise you need, including the food services, the cleaning services, the real estate, the different models for housing and how to keep people in places, the entertainment, bowling, movie theaters, all kind of stuff. You figure it all out, you franchise it to the world. But the problem is that now you expect the whole world to let you all go have dinners everywhere all over the planet, while the rest of the people have to get 2 or 3 jobs just to have one family. If we can't afford good food in the United States, healthy food, and if we can't afford good places to live, meaning newer construction where there's not bugs in the walls or where the roof's not leaking, then we should not be paying $34 trillion and working to barely get by in the United States on the general level across the way. We should also realize that through true justice would be to reincarcerate all previously convicted super predators that have been released from prisons. And I say prisons, which means long-term. Rapists also. People who like to fuck children, pedophiles, and people who buy and sell human beings, human traffickers. End it all. That's it. Wah, wah. Fucking light it up. When I was in Fairfax Adult Detention Center, they said to me, we need to get you out of here and get you in fucking DC. And that was the old man in charge of the psych ward who's probably mind fucked too many people in his whole life, when he realized his family's getting mind fucked too. And all these old people are going, damn, what did we do? Looking around going, what happened to our grandchildren? And where did these people start disappearing to? Why are they showing up a couple years later in miniskirts wearing nothing and won't talk to nobody in their families? And why do families ignore their so-called loved ones in the streets? Everything needs to change in the United States. Everything needs to change in the United States. And people have to change their hearts, and have to change mine as well. So have you ever seen somebody do something themselves and then they're going to blame someone else for doing it? So the guy who's about to speak sounds kind of like a fucking Nazi when he talks, literally, but he's representing the Israeli people. Now the thing is like this, the country of Israel never existed until after World War II, yet they're acting like it's an ancient society in an ancient city. The Bible never actually, those people never owned that area. It's been the same way for years. The Bible is a manipulation of history and other cultural stories with other things added in. And so I can tell you that with confidence. So when Israel, which is basically a South Africa government, South Africa emerged to create a prison population labor state called South Africa to make the black African people there do the work for the white people. They invented a whole new language and people called the Afrikaans. That shit never existed, okay? So this guy telling the UN that they're shredding their own charter makes no sense because he's shredding it right in front of them. He kind of actually looks like one of the Nazis from the old Nazi movies too. So the question is this, who the fuck really is the people that founded Israel? Now, I'm told that my stepfather growing up, that his uncle helped funded the beginning of the nation of Israel. He had a pickle factory in Ohio, and his name was Irv Ozer. Irv Ozer sent money and weapons to found Israel. And he was the uncle of David Mayer Hill, who was my stepfather, and he was from Youngstown, Ohio. And guess where his father was from as a quote-unquote Jew? His father was from Lithuania, which was also Russia at a certain time when he lived there. So watch this guy act like a complete asshole to the UN. And he's saying they're doing something, and he's actually the one doing it on the video. Now, if you're all cool with genocide, stealing countries, and all that kind of shit, kind of like the United States government did to the Native Americans here, which is a controversy still today, hundreds of years later, I can't believe we're acting so ignorant about what Israel really is, which is a nation state created in the same ilk, and I say the same ilk as South Africa. Get your facts straight, get your heart straight, get your knowledge straight. All them people over there need help, the quote-unquote Jews and the quote-unquote Palestinians, and not just the one in Gaza, but there's 2 million out in the hills too. What are the Israeli people doing to those people? And here's another one. For all you assholes who are against cannabis as a medication, you're probably the same set of assholes that set up the rule of law where our medical industry is represented by 2 flying serpents set up around spinning around a stick, swirled around a stick, and the medical model based upon giving drugs to people and creating drug addicts and selling party drugs and street drugs under pharmaceutical names and vice versa. You can't do that to children anymore on planet Earth, or our elders, or our warriors, or anyone. Never again. So first of all, that dude shredded it himself. Nobody else was shredding that charter. Second of all, if you put some old Gestapo, like a script in front of him and he read it, he'd sound and look like a Nazi from them old-time movies and from the documentaries about who the Nazis were. And then let's think about what he's saying about the Palestinian people are not peaceful people. What the fuck would you do if a group of psychos came to your country and announced they're taking over, put you in a fucking cage with most of your friends, and put the other half of you in hills, and they said, we're running shit now, this is our country, and y'all are fucking terrorists, or whatever they said about the Palestinian people to create the Israeli nation. I'm telling you, man, get with it. Look at this guy. This shit's so fucked up. I used to sing music. This is a song I sang. I'm going to fly to the moon now. Y'all do what you want. This is what's called a teachable moment. This is the difference. This is a teaching moment. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Do you want to protect your family? Second question. Do you want to attack someone else's family? That's the difference between killing and murder. It's also an introduction to God if you've doubted or you don't know what that means. Think about things, begin to learn, and find some elders. Hey, so this is for all you swell folks. You know, you folks who own homes, you got lots of money and lots of privilege. You know, some of you folks who maybe you order a man or a woman on the internet and they come to your house and give you a massage or have sex with you and you pay for it. Well, that's called human trafficking. Human trafficking is the echo of the deeper heart and evil of slavery on the planet. If you do such things, you are partaking in evil. And I'm here to stop what you do on the planet. Oh yeah, one more thing. The original Israelites, the stories of the Bible, those were black people, not looking like that guy. That guy did not look like the original Israelites. His skin was just way too light. He didn't have curly black hair. Get it? He's not an Afro man. Yeah, I don't hate anyone because of their religion or their background. I only have negativity towards people who subjugate and oppress the world and hurt people on a daily basis is the way they live their lives. Again, this guy doesn't even look like the original true Israelites. He kind of looks like a fucking, well, you put your own words into it.
As long as so many of you are Jew-hating, you don't really care that the Palestinians are not peace-loving. Despite your obligation to the UN Charter, you are here today to expose what the Charter truly means to you. When it comes to the lives of Israelis and Jews, the UN Charter means nothing to you. Nada, kaput. You know what you're doing today? Today you are gutting the Charter. And you are doing it in the wake of the most brutal massacre of my people since the Holocaust. On the ashes of the October 7th massacre. Why? This day will go down in infamy. This is your mirror. So that you can see exactly what you are inflicting upon the UN Charter with this destructive vote. This is you are shredding the UN Charter with your own hands. Yes, that's what you're doing.
And as a lobbyist and a politician, the land needs to be changed. So what we're going to do is we're going to end road work. But we're going to call it something else and give 10 times as much money to it as the government of the United States. And that is my pledge to you. Thank you, America.
The moment you realize pretty much anything can be faked in this world. The fuck is this? Apparently our stone walls in DC and block could be styrofoam with like some kind of mesh. What the fuck? Washington DC. I mean, come on. That's styrofoam and it looks like stone. Really? Who's doing this? Who's doing this? Making our buildings out of styrofoam and making them look like stone? Come on.